let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the
of the
United
United States of
of
America
America
and to the republic
for which
for which it stands, one nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty and
liberty and
justice.
justice for all.
Bill, I just want to make sure we're public. Okay.
Okay, the next agenda item is attendance, and we have 5 commissioners, so I think we're safe to go here. The October 6th minutes are next. They were available on the town website. I hope you had a chance to print them out and read them. Do we have any comments on the minutes as published? Everyone had a chance to look them over?
Ralph, it's
Yeah.
Eve. I forgot to look at them, so I'm going to abstain from the vote on them. Unless you need.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a parliamentarian. Do we need 5 votes?
No, you just
You
need
can
3 of the
abstain
5.
as long as there's a quorum.
All right, then you can abstain and we can move on. Do I have a motion? Well, any discussion or amendments, adjustments here?
I move minutes be accepted as submitted.
A second?
Get it, Evelyn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Eve is abstaining, so we're 4 in agreement and 1 abstention.
Karen just joined us.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
like
was
that.
on from the start, but realized I didn't use the right link, so I just signed on with the right link now.
Well, Karen, we have gone through the Pledge of Allegiance, taken attendance. You are now the 6th commissioner here, so that's good. We're quorum safe. And we've approved the October 6th minutes. And we're on to the director's report. Rena?
Okay, I'm also your clerk, so you'll have to bear with me. Let me just start the director's report to discuss the staffing. So we've been without a clerk, not just a clerk, but a part-time. So Gail would spend 50% of her time working for economic development and 50% working for planning and zoning. She retired and moved to Arizona. She's doing very well, by the way. And she had asked about some of you or all of you about a month ago when I talked to her, but she has retired and she's been gone since March. Initially, we had a hiring freeze. First Selectman Tesoro allowed us to, Shelby, it looks like Shelby just joined us. I just want to, do I see Shelby? Shelby?
I'm sorry, I could not find the meeting invite. Apologies for being late.
Okay, so we had a hiring freeze initially. First Selectman Tesoro did authorize our department to hire this position probably about a month and a half ago. We went through HR. We interviewed Rob Labrandy and I interviewed 6 people. We did it along with our health department because they had an urgent need for a clerk also. So we have to hire off of a civil service hiring list. There's a process. So we can't just solicit to the general public and look for candidates. So we're sent whatever their process is, the next 6 people or whatever on the list. So part of the problem was we were joint. It was really a good process in that we were joint interviewing and trying to save people's times. But what happened was several of the candidates were really not interested in our position because the amount of night meetings and the kind of technical responsibility that is within the position. They were more interested in the health department. Others just simply did not either interview well or were opposed to night meetings, things that we have mandatory components of within our job. So we had one candidate that Rob and some of our other staff second interviewed. I did not, because I felt if they were okay with this one candidate, it would have been okay with me. But they did not feel this candidate was a good candidate for the job and had any enough of what they needed. So we now have rejected all those 6 candidates, and we're in a process of trying to figure out what the next step is for us to interview additional candidates. So we're working with our HR department. So I say that to you to let you know we have no support at a time where we have never been inundated more. So we're inundated on the economic development side. And if you don't know why, it's because our businesses are constantly reaching out since this whole thing hit. I'm on the phone all day, all night, sometimes all weekend with our businesses. There's constant new things being issued, and those new things that are being issued are being changed. So we're trying to communicate those things as quickly and accurately as we can. It's a constant thing. We do have, to our blessing, we have a large amount of development underway that has to be managed, and thankfully it's continuing to go well. If you listen to our town hall meeting on development, you heard those updates, and I think I give you regular updates, but it has been very difficult. We've had to craft, and part of my job is to craft those new process and procedures while we're trying to do a lot of this stuff electronically. But luckily our processes and procedures have worked, and many of our development projects are still on track, or in some cases, some of them are ahead of schedule because of this. We have a lot of public infrastructure projects, which I have some role in helping to manage some of those projects in addition to that. So we have all of that we're trying to manage electronically with all of the business needs, with all the new programs. And at the same time, we're trying to advocate for resources and you'll hear in my grant update some really positive things. And we're going to give some kudos to Marshall, but we're going to make them wait. Okay. But we're going to, we're advocating for new things. In addition to that, we're trying to not only be in the recovery mode with our businesses, but now, as you see, as things start to uptick, we're still in the response mode. So we're in response recovery mode for all of this. It is enormously stressful. I meet with my colleagues from other communities on a regular basis: Stratford, Fairfield, Bridgeport. We are in a regular communication loop. They're all feeling the same thing. But you have to understand, Fairfield has 3 or 4 people in their economic development office. Stratford has 5 people in their economic development office. Yeah, they have 10 or 15,000 people more than we do as a town, but you still have to function a lot of it. And the amount of development we have underway probably eclipses what they have underway in some of those communities. And we have now no clerk who, Gail did a lot more than just clerk this meeting. I think people know that knew her. Some people are new here and they didn't know that, but she would keep our economic development list up and help with different communications and things like that. So we don't have that. So we are on a tough situation, and we're managing it, I think, very well, and we'll continue to manage it well. But I want to tell you that priority management is my #1 goal. I have always practiced priority management as a style, as a personal style. It is now on overdrive, my priority management. So anything that I work on or that I invest my time in has to go to the greatest ends, because that's the kind of times we're in. And I think you can all appreciate that. So I will let you know if we get someone new. I'm hoping, praying that we have some resources by December, somebody either next on the list or some other way that they allow us to hire, maybe a temporary person that has more background, whatever. We're investigating this, but we really do need to staff up. So that's what's going on with the staffing. In terms of a business update, look, I'm going to start with the positive because I just feel like I have to, because there's a lot of negative coming. But to the positive, you'll get an email later tonight. It's half drafted now. The learning experience, which is the preschool, you'll remember, on the corner of Reservoir Avenue and Lindeman Drive. You'll remember that they bought the building. They put $3 million renovation into the building. There's still the Performing Arts Center in that building. They were fitting this out and had to open a new preschool during COVID. That's not an easy thing to do. So they opened September 14th. Luckily, they've been able to get some children in, but they're nowhere near their ramp up goals. The director, her name is Stella. She's fantastic. She comes from Virginia. She's living, you'll love this story. She's living at 10 Trumbull. So she lives at 10 Trumbull. She walked down the street and she's operating the learning experience right down the street from her. We are going to have on the 17th, which is a Tuesday, at 1 o'clock, a ribbon cutting for the learning experience. You're going to get the email, but we're going to have that ribbon cutting, and then everyone needs to wear a mask that comes. She's going to take us in small groups for a little tour through there. And I am inviting the press and others. I have also worked with her to connect her to other businesses in her neighborhood. So for example, I connected her to Richard Sebastian, who's the CEO of the Kennedy Center, which owns some buildings in that area. Is a major employer in Trumbull. You're probably mostly familiar with it, with the Kennedy Center. So she's doing a presentation at an upcoming staff meeting for him, so that if he has employees that have needs for their children, they're right there across the street. She's looking at things she can do for the Kennedy Center. So we're promoting those synergies, and we are celebrating the opening of her business. We are also doing a business ribbon cutting on December 3rd. Now, this all depends on what's going on with the world, but if things stay sort of where they are right now, we can have 25 or less people, which we usually do. So I try to be careful about how many people we invite and so forth. But Dr. Capello is opening a new dental practice in town at 105 Technology Drive. I've long been in touch with him and his family, and we've decided to now go ahead. They should have their CO by the end of November. And then on the 12/3, the 3rd of December at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a ribbon cutting for his new business. Wonderful, wonderful person. Very excited to become in Trumbull. And so we wish them well, and you'll get an email from me on that. Unique Boutique, which opened in July during the pandemic in Trumbull Center. I've called on them personally. They want to wait. They want to do a ribbon cutting. They're not ready quite yet, so they're going to let me know. Ralph, you mentioned the barbershop, Long Hill. He and I have been going back and forth for about a month via email. And then I stopped in to see him twice. I didn't realize he was closed on Wednesdays. But then I stopped in to see him on a Tuesday and he was closed. So we're missing each other, but we're in touch. We're looking at scheduling a ribbon cutting for him. Plasko's recently, if you didn't see the email Facebook posts on the Trumbull Facebook page, I hope you did. But if you didn't, they've opened a cafe. If you haven't been, it's darling. You should go.
Okay.
Who's been? I didn't hear somebody say.
Yeah, I was over there because that's my neighbor.
Yeah.
So it really is. In fact, I've made plans with my sister and her husband to meet one afternoon just to go for coffee and they have a barista there who
Yeah.
will make specialty coffees, and it's really nice.
Yeah. So it's a nice addition to town. I think Eve and Madeline, did you do something on that too? I can't remember if it was you but it's something that you can do, as part of your effort too. But I think they've just been doing a wonderful job anyway, trying to enhance their business. This is not their first enhancement in the last few years. Obviously, they've been working to enhance their business. So if you haven't been by Make-A-Wish in the Trumbull Corporate Park, they've since painted the building, which has transformed the building. It was a dark, like brick color. Now it's like a light color. They put their big sign up. Obviously, they're still under construction, but you'll see that project is really coming along. And I think that it's going to be really, really a nice addition to the corporate park when it's done. Power Home Remodeling, which is right behind them, is still under construction of their space, so they have not gotten their CO yet. But if you were on the Greater Bridgeport Transit District public hearing last night, you heard me mention that while they are moving their headquarters, their national headquarters from Wilton to Trumbull, and they will have so many set employees there, they will also be using the Trumbull site as a training center. So they will be bringing people in from wherever their workers are around the country to get their skills training as it relates to Power Home remodeling, which is always good for us to have people coming in, staying in our hotels, eating at restaurants, what have you. So obviously we have to do a good job of making sure that they stay at the Trumbull Marriott, but that's something else that I'll work on. So those are just some examples. You're very familiar with all of our developments, so I don't think I need to spend a lot of time with them. None of them have lost financing. All of them are continuing. I'll answer any questions. The last building at 10 Trumbull should be CO'd imminently, and the leasing there has been extremely swift. The Reservoir Avenue townhouses and apartments, they will not start leasing till the new year, and they will not occupy till probably April or May, any units. But it is, if you haven't driven over there, that is also coming along. And the project at Long Hill Green, the Marissa's project, you see progress being made on a regular basis there. They intend to turn over their boxes to the leased clients in January, February. They probably won't have any business openings till spring, late spring or summer, because they have to fit out their boxes. But that project is moving along. The former Chips restaurant site, that will be an urgent care, COVID testing, medical office. AFC Urgent Care signed a lease last Monday for that space. They need to fit out their space. We have a meeting upcoming to try to help them expedite the fit out of their space. The good thing is the space was gutted already, so that it's a sort of a shell that they can build out. And another good thing is that it's not a second restaurant in the plaza, which was contributing to a barrage of parking challenges. And if you haven't been there since, you'll know that the parking has kind of come down. Obviously, COVID is affecting gyms and other things too, and occupancy levels, but it's been much more manageable. Now, you may have heard that Pet Value, which we have a Pet Value right in that plaza to the front of Fitness Edge, they're closing all of their stores nationally. The Trumbull store will close, the Milford store will close, all of their stores will close. They're liquidating. They have like a 20% off now. They're liquidating. I talked to Phil DiGennaro, who owns the plaza, and we will talk more about that space. But I can tell you that no dust, no grass grows under Phil's feet. He's already looking at new tenants for the space. Wahlburgers will not open in the Trumbull Mall. They will not reopen. They just cannot withstand the challenges from a business model, from a business perspective of what's going on. They were going to reopen in September, then they were thinking of reopening in October, and they just have made a business decision not to reopen. And I don't think it's unique to the Trumbull location. Let me just say that that's just what I'm dealing with, is the Trumbull location. We will see other business closures. We don't want to see them, but we will, because the one thing businesses need is revenue. And the revenues are restricted for long periods of time. It looks like they're going to have some further restrictions. Again, unfortunately, we had somewhat of a rollback because of the pandemic numbers coming up, the COVID numbers coming up. So obviously that deeply affects particularly our restaurants, but not just our restaurants. And we've certainly heard from them, and they're very, very concerned about sustainability. First Selectman Tesoro, I don't know if she's on or going to join us. She and I had a call yesterday with David Lehman, our commissioner of the Department of Economic and Community Development. We have a wonderful relationship with him and ongoing dialogue. He's been working really hard, and we're not looking to bust on him, but we did take exception to the 9:30 closing of restaurants, and folks have to get out by 10. We asked him to consider the process that Rhode Island is using, where on Friday and Saturday night, they're allowing the restaurant to close at 10 and folks to get out by 10:30. Not that that's a solution for everything, but if you know anything about the restaurant business, your busiest nights are generally Friday and Saturday. And to churn 3 full table sets, sometimes you'll need a little more time on the back end, particularly on those weekends and so forth, where people sometimes like to go out a little bit later at night. He did say that he would bring our comments back to the governor, but we've, haven't heard anything. This was just yesterday. But we're not sitting idly by. We're letting our feelings and thoughts and ideas be known. The first selectman has issued any number of letters of request to consider certain things regarding funding and other things. So we do expect some serious struggles. You may have heard that the state is starting a new CARES Act small business program. They announced that they'd have everything ready on Monday the 9th for folks to apply. So Monday came and went and things were not ready. And then Tuesday came and went and things were not ready. So if you're on my distribution list, and I hope you are, and if you're not, we should talk about that. You got today a notice saying, hopefully this week, and here's how you stay in touch with it, and here's where you can listen to the info session, that kind of thing. Because folks started calling me obviously Monday going, where's the new, how do I apply? And then they calling, I said, hopefully it'll be out tomorrow, which was what we were told. And then we were told today it's not ready yet. So I can't say when it's going to be ready. Right now, that new program will let you business under certain criteria. It's on the email I sent today. Apply for up to $5,000. Now, Commissioner Lehman told us yesterday on our call that depending on if they don't get the full number of people that they thought might apply, then they might see if they could up that $5,000 minimum, but that's into the future. Other than that, we don't see very many other state resources at the moment. Folks are waiting to hear to see what is going on with the federal stuff. So some of you know that, and we've been in regular contact with the mall. Vicki and I have had senior level discussions with the mall. I'm not going to get into all the details of it right now. We're monitoring URW. There's all kinds of stuff about URW in the news, which is the owner of the mall. So if you're watching the Wall Street Journal and other things, their shareholders is a big thing going back and forth. Our issue is to make sure that our mall stays stable and vibrant. We're in regular conversation with their senior people. You know that back on October 3rd, I think we reported this in our last meeting, but the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the site plan application for the 260 units of housing. In our meeting yesterday with David Lehman, Commissioner Lehman, he said that was a very smart approval. That was his personal sentiment, given what it's going to take to stabilize and reinvent these properties. Now, we are looking to do a world-class, not a regular municipal. We're looking to do a world-class planning effort there. Anyone who is saying that we're not talking about that is misinformed, so I want you to know. Last year, before the end of December, through the town process and the capital plan, the town set aside money for a planning effort. Vicki and I have approached major property owners now that the apartments have been approved. Now that the apartments have been approved, we have approached them, asking them. We have a conference call coming up to invest in a world-class planning effort. They want to do so. We're talking. We approached URW senior leadership, asking them to make, and when I say invest, we mean a financial investment and a resource people commitment investment into a world-class planning effort. You'll be hearing more about that in the coming month or so as we secure additional resources. To do a world-class planning effort is not a $50,000 job, which is what the town is accustomed to spending on things like this. So we are researching, talking, laying this out, evaluating what the impact of COVID is and what the opportunities are with major property owners. And it will be a full engagement of residents and of businesses and property owners in the town and other stakeholders like you all, hopefully, in that process. Events Did anyone here tune into the jobs event we did at the end of October? I don't know if anybody did. It was hard for me to see who was on that. Did anyone here? We tried to do one at night because we had gotten some feedback from a few folks wanted to try doing some of these town halls at night. So we did this one at 7 p.m. We actually got better attendance during the day, but it is re-shown on the community television station. It was circulated on Facebook, and Bill Chin, our technology guru extraordinaire, posted it, I want to say yesterday, as another repost to Facebook. If commissioners are comfortable, if you would go to the town website, the town Facebook page, you can reshare that to your network. That data, that information on those employers that are hiring is as good today as it was last week. It can be reshared and replayed, and people have been sharing it, but we just want to get it out far and wide because we do have jobs at Image First Healthcare Laundry, at the mall, at the town of Trumbull, at Amazon, that were all highlighted with great detail on how to apply and how to follow up with those jobs. And indeed, I did get people email me post-event following up and thanking us for doing the event. So Marshall will know, and is it Marshall and Shelby? Who's on my long-term recovery committee? I'm like,
Evelyn and I.
what? Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Shelby sits in though, doesn't Shelby? Don't you sit in with us? Yeah. So you guys will know, we're going to have our next meeting on the 19th of November. So stay tuned. The announcement's going out soon. But that long-term recovery committee did a early assessment of unmet needs and jobs for residents, business rental relief, and meals and food sustainability were the top unmet needs. And we discussed this with all different industries, the faith community. There are other unmet needs. We have a whole chart. We've passed that chart on to the state. We've passed it on to the regional committee. It's not just sitting there, and we're working toward goals toward it. But the town hall meetings at Jobs, this was our second one, and we'll do more of them. We're part of the follow-up to that long-term recovery unmet needs stuff. And we, again, will do more of that. While we had about 2,000 claims a month for unemployment in Trumbull, we're down to 1,000 claims a month. A week. I'm sorry, excuse me. We were at 2,000 claims a week in Trumbull. We're down to about 1,000. That's good, but it's not, you don't want 1,000 claims a week. That means those are folks that have active unemployment claims, that are out of work, that don't have their jobs, and that are looking for employment. So obviously we're looking to support those folks in any way we can to get employed, and then whoever else in the regional workforce that needs employment. So a lot is going on in other events related to the long-term recovery committee and to economic and community development. One of our roles at the long-term recovery committee is to look at funding resources to help offset some of the long-term recovery needs. So we had an opportunity to thread a needle through a thread through a needle to try to find a way to get some of this COVID small cities community development block grant funding. And I don't want to get into all the ugly details of what that is, but I want to mention Marshall in particular, who took some time to really think about, and I had circulated what was eligible and what were our unmet needs. And Marshall came to the meeting, and others supported him, but came to the meeting with an idea about a local meals program. So we're calling it Local Meals, where our restaurants would be available to provide meals to folks that are quarantined or need to be very, very careful and stay sort of out of the public because of whatever susceptibility they might have for COVID. And it would be a way to get commerce, an infusion of commerce to our restaurants, and then get meals to our folks. So I'm not doing the whole thing justice, but we applied for $100,000. We found out well, we found out at the end of last week, but we had our startup conference call today. We have been funded for the full 100,000. That money will go and we will work. Isn't that great? So thank you, Marshall, for your idea. By the way, Marshall, I let you have the credit on, they said, wow, we were really inspired by your ability to take these two needs and plug them together. I said, I would love to take credit, but this guy that's on my long-term committee, I told him, Vicky will tell you, I did not take credit for it. So we are gonna, we have to go through a whole technical process to get the contract in place. That was what our call is about today. I've got to take this thing to council in December. So anybody who wants to show up to support me, that would always be great. I'll send an email. And we've got to meet with Michelle Jacob. She's our fantastic social service senior director who's going to be our partner in executing this project. And we have to meet with our restaurants. But nevertheless, that is a project that's been funded. You also might have heard, I circulated to at least a few of you, I had a last minute request that United Illuminating had a little bit of money left and they thought, is there something we can do? I think I sent it to Eve and Ralph. I applied for 15,000. They didn't give us the full 15,000. They gave us 5,000. But this is for what we call Celebrate Local Main Street Bucks. So we will have, instead of 1,400 people, which I propose will be closer to 500 people, we'll get about $10 or 400 to 500 people will get $10 vouchers that they have to spend 20 to use the 10 against it, but they have to spend it in certain businesses that have signed on to the program, and then the businesses will get reimbursed by the town. So we'll be mobilizing that project too. I'm working on the paperwork with United Illuminating to get the check in hand. And so we'll have a little list of businesses under our Celebrate Local banner that will be participating. And, you know, folks that are, we're going to not exclusively target lower moderate income people, but certainly people in need that Michelle knows of. If they can get $10 and they needed something that they were holding off buying, they can go buy it and they can get, so it helps them and it helps the business that they spend it in one of our local places. These are the kinds of things that bring new dollars, commerce to our businesses as a direct bottom line result that we're focused on. Those are two things. While I'm on grants, I'll jump off and tell you, some of you may have seen the press release today that went out. It's very timely because it's Veterans Day tomorrow and it was the Marine Corps birthday today. So we were notified the other day, I think it was yesterday, I can't remember, it was either yesterday or Friday, that a STEEP grant that we applied for, Small Town Economic Assistance Program is what it stands for. We applied for, the maximum we could apply for, the state capped the maximum very low this time, was $128,000, but that's okay. We applied for the full amount for phase 1 for the veterans and first responder training center that is proposed to go on the former site of the Veterans Center at Cats Pond. And those dollars are being matched by the design money that the town council approved this past spring. So that will take us through full construction document design, demolition of the existing structure that is condemned, clearing of the existing structure, and the initial site work to prep the site. So that budget will complete that phase 1. And on a parallel track, we have a full funding plan that they have a building committee, and I'm helping them with it as well as others, is looking at raising the construction funding next. But it was a big boost in the arm to the project. The team worked hard on it. Hopefully the press covers it and gives us a little exposure. It's a great project. If you're not familiar with that Veterans Center project, not only will it be home to the VFW people and the Veteran of Foreign Wars people, but it will also, I'm sorry, I have a pop-up jumping on my screen every 2 seconds. It will also be a place where first responders, and in particular our police department and other police departments, by the way, veterans from the region will be able to use the center, and you don't have to be a VFW or a what was the other one? American Legion to be there. It's for all veterans, but they're going to be housed there for their meetings. But but it's going to be for all veterans where they can get social services, healthcare linkages, job linkages. Then you're going to have first responders, in particular, our police department, that will be doing training there. Right now, they don't have a decent, even sized room to do their training. Their dive team training will be in Cats Pond as it is, but it will be better equipped to use that. It will also be for civic groups in town to use for their meetings, for town departments to use, and then private individuals that want to have a shower or whatever, these kinds of events. Once we get back to that type of thing, we'll be able to rent the facility. So it's a really all-around facility that's being planned with a special emphasis on our veterans and first responders, which seems to be very, very popular and well supported in town. There are concept drawings for the building that you could, if you're interested, Ray Baldwin will show them to you. You could let me know and I could get him. Or if anybody ever wanted us to bring a presentation to this commission, I can certainly set that up. So I think that, you know, just to update you on the mall, I told you about the mall approval, but that project probably won't break ground till April or May, just to give you an understanding of the construction timeline, the start of construction, because they have to do all of their final engineering and all of that now that they have their approval. At this point, I'll just turn to the early part of Celebrate Local, and then I'll let Eve jump in on her piece. One other thing, those folks attended, Beryl, Ralph, and Eve, and I think that those were the only commissioners on last night, but if I'm missing anybody, let me know. Vicky Tesoro also attended. We had a public hearing last night for our transit district enhancements. We have been working for 8 months with the Greater Bridgeport Transit Authority to expand bus access to the Amazon site on 25 and to our corporate park. We used to, years ago, Karen, you'll remember this, there used to be service to the corporate park years ago. And I want to say about 3 years ago, maybe 4 now, it was right when I first came here, they were having a lot of cutbacks at the Greater Bridgeport Transit, and they had to cut that because it didn't have a lot of ridership. And we spoke at all the hearings and stuff, but there was just no money. But now that we have an employer that has about 25 to 30 people that need this bus, they see us filling back up that corporate park, they're going to be reinstituting. Hopefully it has to go through a process. So we have the public hearing. We're pretty far along. The planning's been done. We're doing some internal staff planning, but once it gets through this process, they're going to probably in January, we're hoping, start these enhanced services to those 2 areas. Now, this is not the be all end all. We probably need more services than what they're adding, and they discussed this last night, but they don't have the money to do everything we want, but we're starting a process of improving this, and our employers greatly appreciate this. And I will tell you, Image First probably would not have located here had they not had a commitment from the Transit Authority. And Vicki and I met with them and the Transit Authority before they signed their lease. And they said, we will get something done. We will work with you. So that's how important that bus service is to that employer. Okay. So thank you all for being advocates in last night's meeting and showing up. We didn't have any people that were negative about it at least on the public hearing. The public comment is still open. Under the Celebrate Local banner, which can always use shoring up, but under that, there's 3 different things that are happening so far. The first thing is our small business visits. Kathy Champion, who's our communications director, Vicki and myself have charted a 6-day or 6-day tour, which we finished day 1. We had to cancel day 2 because I was sick and bedridden. So we're rescheduling day 2, which is Trumbull Center. But day 1, we did the mall in Trumbull Center. We did interviews, video interviews with certain businesses. We're not doing national chain type things, except in one instance, there was a new business that opened during COVID in the mall, Ardeen. So they had a great story to tell about who they are and what they're trying to do for Trumbull. But all the rest of the businesses were very small businesses. Vicki did personal interviews. We talked about, our goals were around consumer confidence building, the importance of buying local, any specials that these businesses had, that were special offerings that they had that would attract people. So you're going to see those videos start to come out probably right as a lead up to Small Business Saturday. We're doing Trumbull Center next, and we're doing it in geographic chunks. So we have 6 geographic chunks laid out, and we're scheduling all of the interviews ahead of time. They get a list of questions ahead of time and so forth to think about, and so that the interviews have been going extremely well. If you don't know Kathy Champion, she's a real champ at this. Let me tell you, she worked for Peter Jennings. That's pretty impressive stuff. She's very good at it. She's doing a fantastic job with us. So that's our small business video stuff under Celebrate Local. Eve's doing a lot of social media and nonprofit support. And then all of the stuff that just got funded that I just explained from Marshall piece, and the restaurant piece, and the UI piece where I told you about the Main Street Bucks, that's also under Celebrate Local. We are looking at a press release and some other things, which we do every year, a press release around Celebrate Local. Every year we put stuff out that week trying to get people to spend local. But again, it hasn't really been anything drastic. So Deanna Nafrio through the chamber is doing some things. We're trying to pump that up. I don't know if Vicki will have a robocall as a lead up. If she has new information for the community that requires a robocall, she will add something about Celebrate Local and about Shop Local Saturday into her call. But she will not do a call just for that. She will do it attached to some other things. So we're still working on that. So that's all I have right now. If anybody has any questions, or if Eve wants to go forward.
I thought Eve was going to chime in here. Eve, Eve, do you have any?
No,
Ed?
I have
No.
questions.
Fire away.
You have to speak up, Marshall. I heard
Okay.
some.
I'm gonna go back first to your staffing.
Yeah.
Because you started there. Can somebody please talk to our HR director
Mhm.
and one of the town attorneys and find out, while this post is open and actively looking for somebody through civil service, if some members of this commission can put in some hours part-time staffing that position. A number of us are retired and have some time and could be of use a few hours a day. We can't replace a civil service position, and as long as it's posted, the union shouldn't have a grievance if you're trying to hire. But
I'll
please,
ask about that,
because,
Marshall. One of the things that we posed was somebody temporary,
no, I understand that, but some of us have a handle on some of what's going on, and the players and the people in the staff, and have some
And-
time now, and that's why I'm inquiring.
I will definitely
Yes.
follow up.
No,
Okay.
this is Evelyn, and I was going to just offer my services as a volunteer that, like with typing or, anything of that sort, I'm pretty good at. And I would be more than happy to come after work, or on a Wednesday, I get out a couple hours early and run over to town hall, or I could just pick it up and take it home and type up, or whatever it is, but I am available if you need some help.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's why
so
I was
much. We'll
offering myself.
We'll
I think-
definitely
What-
consider that.
I
Rena?
finished my project with the government recently.
Rena,
Yes,
would
I
our previous gal be available for working at home part-time?
who's that girl?
The one who retired and went to Arizona?
She's in Arizona,
Yeah,
and
but you can work, is there anything that you could work remotely on?
I'd have to check in with her. A lot of it is that some of it can be done electronically, but like, for example, if you guys don't know, I'm the town's grant writer and grants administrator. I have stacks of stuff that has to be, it's like my office is a disaster right now, because stuff that Gail would copy and circulate once I'm done with it, reports, filing, it's just stacked up everywhere. It's like, that's one thing. Our commission stuff, like I have to do all the minutes myself. It's not a big deal, but it's like, it's gonna take me an hour at least to draft the minutes, reread them. Then I sent Linda posts them for me. She's fantastic, but Linda's up to her eyeballs in alligators with, so one thing, oh, this is important. So just to give you an idea, so here's a bright spot in the COVID scenario. I mean, if there are some bright spots beside liquor stores doing well, the bright spot is permitting is up astronomically.
Mhm.
Karen's shaking her head because she's in the construction world. So let me give you just our building department, okay? So I have under me, planning and zoning, economic development, building, and fire marshal falls under economic development, right? The building department, each year we do a projection of our permitting revenues. So for June 30th that ended 2020, June 30th, we had projected 700,000. That was about maybe 50,000 more than the year before. We were at almost $1.3 million in permitting revenue by June 30th. So, and a good part of that was an explosion of residential pools, sheds, additions, garages, not exclusively. We had a lot of commercial development uptick because of our construction, but all those small things require permits and it was like an explosion. So for the staff, it was like, I want to say we did almost 300 permits from March to June just on residential stuff. And we're trying to do all this like remotely and inspections. Just think about it. It was just like astronomical. There is such a run on pools. I don't think you can get a pool even now. You got to like get on a list to get a pool. It's insane. So people are looking around their homes and saying, what do I want to fix? I'm home more, I'm paying more attention. Or I didn't take that big vacation so with my family, so I have that extra jingle. I want to invest that into my home. Or 3, I want to amenitize my home because I'm not going to be going anywhere and I want some stuff for us to hang out and do. So I want to do this. So that's an upside because that, in addition to the permitting revenue, obviously enhances the value of the property. So when we do an reevaluation next year, obviously some of that will help the grand list. But it's, when I tell you an explosion, so that explosion, that's just the building department. But you remember, whenever there's a permit in building, it affects every department, right? So it's like the staff on top of all of this has got an explosion on the permitting side that we're dealing with. So it's all kinds of things, but I would welcome any assistance, and I certainly will reach out. And Marshall, you know, you've been doing a lot anyway, and we're going to catch up on our what do you call it, survey and all this other stuff. So I do appreciate everyone's help.
Okay, now, can I continue now to finish the staffing thing?
Yeah.
And this has to do with some of the shop local. There's been a push since COVID, specifically to support our restaurants. Okay, pushing to buy takeout for those who don't feel comfortable dining in or dining outside as it's getting colder and such. Unfortunately, and I know this by number one, running a Facebook group that deals with our local restaurants and food scene, there's been a quality issue. Our local restaurants getting sloppy and getting orders wrong constantly.
Okay.
Service, and we don't like to name them publicly, but it's a real issue and it's happening regularly. I like to cook, you know that. I would rather cook than, get food from the outside. I know it's nothing to do with the cost, as opposed to I consider it inferior to what I'm going to make. But I make it my business 3 times a week to either have a meal from out or bring something in for the family. And I got to tell you that we're running 80% in the last 3 weeks mistakes in the orders. And the attitude of the business owners is getting really bad. Now, they may be frazzled because they have money problems and staffing problems, what have you. But if they want the support of the community, they have to get it right.
Yeah.
They just lose pride in what they're doing. I had a business owner who I called about an order that was completely wrong, that my daughter had placed, picked up, and said to me, "That's not so. It didn't happen. Your daughter's lying to you." I said, I have the ticket. It says what it's supposed to be. Well, we can't find the ticket. I said, because you left it on the bag. You handed it to her. But it's not what it is. What do
Right,
you want us to do about it? Now, in the old days, I was a business owner. I was in both retail and in the food business. Made a mistake like that, you got in the car and you delivered the right thing. You did something. You didn't just say the customer's wrong or it's not on the menu that way, too bad. But people are frazzled, but customer service is what it's about because there is too much competition left. And let me tell you, it doesn't take me any more time to go into Monroe than to go to
Right.
Trumbull Center.
no, I think it's happening all over because you have people that are stressed and they're trying to make cutbacks with both staff and other things. So that always, it always plays out, but you're right. We have to remind them that quality is part of the equation. You know, I was on the call, I was on,
Lose the outside dining as they
Yeah.
get older. So they're going to be dependent on the takeout and delivery.
right.
We've gone back to phase 2.
Yep.
And I
Well,
don't know if anybody
I
else-
hear you and I will bring that forward. I mean, I'm in regular conversation with our restaurants.
Yeah,
so,
privately, I'll give you some names and instances. I won't do it publicly.
Right.
I don't believe in shaming like that.
Yeah, no, that's not, that's good. Is there any other questions? Someone asked, I think it was Beryl, about the CVS and the Starbucks to Ralph.
Oh, yeah.
Carol, your email got forwarded, so you're on. Question about CVS parking and Starbucks drive-through?
Yes.
Was there somebody? So somebody, I know a while back, Eve and I spoke about it, but I thought it was either Beryl or Evelyn that sent something recently asking.
Yeah, I
about
did.
it.
I did. But
Okay,
I was just wondering if there were any conversations going on about the Starbucks. I've been now to CVS twice this week. And I don't think I'll go back.
yeah,
There's hardly any parking.
yeah. So don't go during prime time.
It's not even that.
Yeah,
Because of the construction for the trail, people who normally park
yeah, we're having an
are
issue.
parking at CVS illegally and walking across.
Yeah,
You're not allowed to leave your cars and leave the center, but everyone's doing it.
yeah.
We've got so many parking spaces for the trail, and that's part of the problem we have right now.
So we have a small group of us that are meeting, inclusive of our town planner, Rob LaBrandy, our town engineer, Bill Mauer, our head of public works, George Estrada, myself, Vicky Tesoro, Cindy Katsky, who works in her office, and one of the town council representatives from that area, Dawn Cantafio, and I may be missing a person or two, but let's just say that's the crux of the group. And we've been meeting, so you'll remember that proposal was passed in 2016, that proposal. And a couple of things that are baseline facts, not to dismiss the fact that the thing is, we've got to make some adjustments. So I have some news on that front, and Marshall's right. The trail parking is an issue right now. We've discussed that. But when we approved that, when the Planning and Zoning Commission approved that, I think they did a good job with the architecturals, the landscaping, the sidewalk in there. A lot of that looks good. But part of the problem is no one envisioned that the drive-through would be that popular. So one of the things that's a real problem is that drive-through is right now with the pandemic, any drive-throughs. If you've been to McDonald's over on in Monroe, they have a huge queue on that drive-through. It's been all the way out onto Route 111 down the street because people are preferring oftentimes more so, especially when the numbers start to go up for COVID. They don't want to go inside. They want to go through a drive-through. So there's waiting in these outrageous lines for the drive-through. That's one issue. Two, it's new. So we always know, and anybody in development will tell you, you can't judge a project by the first few months because everybody descends on the project, and it's a hyper exaggeration of the development. So we have to let that tail down. Three, we have an issue where we have construction for the trail at a time where we're closing off. So they're completing the from Tate Road down to Twin Brooks. If you haven't been over there, they're working to complete that, and they're working right now on the leg that goes from Tate Road to probably like the urgent care center over by Sunny Days. That's the leg that they're embarking on now. And what's happening is it's affecting parking, and people from the trail are going over to the parking lot, particularly the parking that's on the rim. And they're parking there. We do know that as a fact. We were talking about remedies for that. There's not a lot of remedies in the short term because, you know, you can only post so many signs and people just don't listen, and they might go in and grab a soda, but then they leave their car there for 5 hours, you know, while they're going on the trail. So we're working on that. That's a short-term issue, but it definitely is we know as a fact, impacting the development. The other thing that's a problem is if you're coming up White Plains Road and and CVS is on the left, Bianco Rosso's on the right, that light there has no turn lane and no left-hand signal into the CVS Plaza, and it is creating enormous backup problems. And that's something the state was reluctant to approve, but that our police chief and police commission would like they want to see that as a dedicated turn lane there, and then people would go around the other lane. What's happening now, you have somebody waiting to turn with no turn lane and no signal to turn. It's backing up the whole line of traffic, and they're not going around. So it's not functioning optimally. So we're looking at all of that, and just like any new situation, sometimes the state says one thing and then we have to show them evidence to the contrary that something is or isn't working. So we are having those meetings. We have another we've been meeting, but I will tell you that today I finished the RFQ scope of work last week for the Trumbull Center corridor study. Today, I finished the bid package with Kevin Bova. It will be going out to bid. The bids will be returned December 17th. We're bringing in a consultant to do a whole study of the corridor, inclusive of traffic flow, aesthetics, demarcation, land use regulations, signage, beautification, whatever. There's a whole list of things that are going to be addressed, concept drawings like. So we're doing a detailed mini master plan for the area like we've done in the Long Hill Green area, and that's been our roadmap for improvements there, like we just finished in some of our industrial zones. But this is more, this has a probably higher emphasis on the actual physical corridor and roadway corridor. And we will be coming out of that with a series of recommendations that we'll be looking to implement to improve that whole area. So that is going out to bid, and it should be up in the next few days.
Rena, can I just ask about that bid? Since the developer hasn't told anyone, I guess, what they're planning to put in where Porcelli's was and where Starbucks was, how can you do a plan for that area? That's a huge square footage. Is it going to be retail, residential? Is it going to be residential? Is it going to be office? How is that being anticipated?
We have seen concept drawings we have seen concept drawings, and we've met with the property owners for Trumbull Center, and we have a sense of their vision for that area. We have that.
Well,
So those things will all be made available to the consultant, and the property owner's been met with. They know that we're doing a study. They want to be a part of that. So we don't have a tenant that we're going to talk about, but we have a vision, physical vision of what they want to do. They have 4 different concept plans, and they're pretty.
Well, can you let us know what they are? Is it retail? Is it residential? Is it office? Is it
Not residential? It is not residential. It is just a change of physical construct of the area, which would make the area more attractive. So I can't really say more than that because it's not in the public realm at this point. These are concept drawings. So that when it becomes in the public realm, we will consider all that, and the consultant will work with all of the property owners as they do in any study. They meet with each property owner. They talk about what their vision is for that property. We cannot control private property, but we can try to influence things. And we can certainly control ideas around the public realm that contribute to how the private property might operate.
Rena,
Mhm.
when going back to the 965 property, when they acquired the parcel that's on the corner of Grandview, they absorbed somewhere between 4 and maybe as much as 10, depending on how you sliced it, parking spaces. They were obligated to provide trailhead parking in the 965 parking lot. When I was there this weekend, there are no signs to indicate that. I remember raising that as a concern when that happened. So they do have to provide some parking spaces. It's not flagged as to which they are. And so if you don't tell people this is where you're allowed to park for the trail, people don't know that. So I was there this weekend. I just parked wherever because I knew that there were trail spots. I didn't know if anybody else from the trail was there or not. So that's one of the things that they might think about flagging, these, it's at least 4. I thought it was 7, but the records will definitely, show what the number was.
Shelby, I remember some conversation at P&Z about that. And I know the monument and that whole thing, which they're working on, they had to do dedication. Remember that? That was part and parcel of that whole situation.
Yeah.
They're working on the monument, but I need to follow back up with Rob because I don't know if the parking commitment made it into a condition or not. I don't know that sitting here tonight. So I don't want to confirm what you're saying. I have a recollection that there was a conversation about could people, like that was 4 to 5 or whatever it is, 7, 6, whatever, that little corner pocket park there that was being used for parking would have to be replaced. But I don't know if it didn't make it into an actual condition, then it's not enforceable. That's what I have to find out, or we can both talk to Rob. I just haven't followed up on it. I know the monument made it in as a condition and that they're working on an actual monument because I know there's been conversations with a couple of people from the Historic Society and stuff, so forth, trying to help them with that. So we'd have to find out if it's an actual condition.
Records will show that. Yep.
Yeah, I just don't want to say it is because I have to.
No. Yeah. The records will show whatever it is.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah. I'll follow up with you, Shelby, on that.
Thank you. Two quick, if I can. The local meals and the UI grant, do we have a one-pager on that I can share back to the sustainable? Because those are two things that would be relevant.
Yes, I have, it's in the form of a letter, both of them, letter of application. The only thing, the UI one shows the request for 15,000. We only got 5, but it narrates the project. I can send you those.
Thank you.
Do you want to report on the sustainable now that you bring it up?
Sure. So the town of Trumbull, if there was an announcement over the weekend or late last week, we were awarded bronze certification. Because bronze, silver, and platinum, there are a number of towns have received, small number of towns have received silver. Nobody's gotten platinum yet, but we did get bronze, which is quite an achievement because I think it was maybe even the previous meeting, I didn't think we were going to. The preliminary reports weren't favorable. The team that's working on the sustainable team really did some amazing things to pull together the requirements at the end and get the bronze certification. I am not and have not been involved since COVID because of, as I've said here before, because of the work constraints that have increased. And I know that there was a presentation to the town council last week announcing the bronze certification and including some other report on natural resources. And as part of that was a resolution to reorganize the team. I actually don't know if I'm on the team anymore, or I mean, if I'm officially on the team anymore or not, but my ability to contribute is extremely limited. So I told them I was fine with stepping down, but they're next already focused on 3 years from now getting silver certification. So those two, at least those two to start, would be good fodder for that.
So that certification should open us up to some grants and things. I think they have to get all that together now to see what's going on with COVID and everything. But there should be some grant opportunities for the town to pursue as a result of having achieved this benchmark, to reinvest in other sustainable projects.
Yep. And it was a lot of the projects that we talked about here, that, you know, that helped push us over the greenscaping, if that's the right word, at Long Hill Green.
Yep.
And, you know, some other projects, things that we had done that we talked about here, really came in and was what helped push us over. So.
Okay, any other questions on Rena's report?
Speaking of the Long Hill Green, I am so impressed with the building that's going on with the stonework. It's really a very good looking project.
We have some, just so you know, we have some educational signage to go in. We have an educational signage. I just approved the final design of it for over in front of Franco Gianni's, that area, that explains the sustainability project that Shelby was just alluding to. There's a stormwater management project there that some people, if they didn't hear about it, would have no idea why this patio got done. They'd think it was just a patio, but it's actually a stormwater management project. So there's like pictures on the sign depicting what it is and a little write-up about, you know, whatever the 5,000 square feet and how it helps the Paquonic River, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to do something similar over, we haven't designed it yet. We're going to use the same look and same material. We're going to do it over at Soretta's, at the former Marissa's property, because he's doing a lot of restoration of the wetlands. So it'll be a similar type sign there that carries through, that people that see that when they're walking through will understand the reclamation of the wetlands and the plantings there and their significance as a buffer to the you know, stormwater efforts and all that. So that's going on.
Was that the work that they're doing along that riverbank, was that added by P&Z, or was that
Wetlands.
Wetlands? I mean, that was, we requested that or required that.
The wetlands made
Yeah,
them
okay.
restore. So if you don't know, that building, and particularly the old building, if you can think back to the old Marissa's building, there was an addition that had been put on it some years ago. I don't know when it was. It was like a banquet hall piece that if you were looking at the building, it sat to the right. That building was actually constructed in the floodway, not just the floodplain, in the floodway. It is illegal to build anything in a floodway. So that building was actually sitting in the floodway. So when the demolition of that happened and they moved the building to the north of the site, it came completely out of the floodway, and they required Mike, and he actually volunteered to do quite a bit. I mean, I think he's really stepped up there, and partially they required, partially he stepped up to do some things to reclaim and fix the wetland area there. It was very bad. And that's of benefit to more people than just him as a property owner, because you know, you'll think about Governor's Ridge and all that backing up over there on the road, and now that'll flow better, and whoever's downland of that and all that. So it's the whole thing should flow better, and the plantings that he puts in are going to be extensive.
Rena, Rena, whatever you're doing for these two educational, I'll call them a kiosk, whatever we're going to set up, you know, with that material that'll be on signage or whatever, can we get some kind of a pamphlet or a brochure made up that we can get to our science classes in, you know, through the school department? This is local earth science, ecology. It really should be touted and put into curriculum. If we can influence something somewhere, what's going on in town.
Yeah.
You know, we're not at the point where kids are going out on field trips from schools to see things, but it will happen in the future, again, after COVID. But it's something worth mentioning.
Yeah, I think I wish we had the money to do full kiosks, but those are like $8,000. So the one that we're putting out in front of Franco Gianni's area, that was like $1,200 that time, but it's the exact same material as the one in Old Mine. If you haven't seen the one that we did in Old Mine, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, but it's the same material, same fabricator. same branding. So and when we do the next one, so even though the content is different and it's not as big as Old Mine, it's the same. We're trying to carry that through. So yeah, we can get that. We have it in print.
That's what I
It's
figured.
not like, I don't know, it's like,
Not just hold it to
sure, but
department.
we have all the content in like a PDF
Thank you.
for all of them, because we have to have it for the artwork.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, any other questions for Rena? Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. We're at the point of concluding the director's report. Any other questions? Okay.
Not a question. I just want to, I don't doubt at all that, I mean, I know all businesses can make improvements, and I don't doubt at all that some of the restaurants may be providing mistakes in their deliveries and things, but I just, as a commission, I just need, as we are a commission, I just want to put out the other comment that I have not had any problems with deliveries, pickup, or sitting in house. And I found the staff to be very appreciative and helpful, and the place is very clean. So I just don't want anyone to think that as a commission, we think that the restaurants aren't trying their hardest under a very difficult situation.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, let's move on to the community input. Do we have any visitors? I don't think so, but I'll ask.
No.
Okay.
There's one, Madeline's here, our intern. I don't know if she's
Oh.
to say anything.
I didn't see her. Hello, Madeline. Before we entertain a motion to adjourn, I'd like to offer some thoughts, if I might. A couple of things. Number one, we still are short of our commission quota, if you will, of 9 people. And that occasionally makes getting to a quorum difficult. So remember that we still need at least one other member. And I know Rena and Vicky have suggested we can offer people resumes, ideas.
Ralph, at the
Yeah.
last meeting, we asked for information as to what party they have to be from or unaffiliated. We didn't get that back. So just
Okay.
being able to suggest the name, if there's a restriction by party, doesn't help us unless we know.
Oh,
What's-
I was told that you can have no more than 6 Democrats on the commission. And then anyone else can be either unaffiliated, Republican, Libertarian, whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was told when I joined that the goal was, maybe not a rule, but the goal was 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 3 independents. But
I don't think we've had that since I've been here, but that may be a goal, and I'm not opposed to it. I'm more concerned about just having good people that want to contribute. So if anybody has good people, they have to be a registered voter. That's a basic. But you have to register to vote in Trumbull. Some people have actually, believe it or not, sent their resume in and they're not registered to vote. I mean, they're actually not. So you have to be a registered voter.
okay, well,
Everybody must be registered by now.
I'm telling you, you'd be surprised.
but let's back up a step, and just as your august chairman, I worry about this because I try and drum up enthusiasm and attendance, and I think we've got a good group here. But in reality, we are down 1 commissioner from 9 to 8. We have another commissioner who has not been able to attend in quite a while, has made major contributions in the past, but so we're really at probably 7. And to make matters worse, it's my understanding that every December, 3 commissioners' terms expire. So it is time to put a full court press on new membership, new blood, new enthusiasm. I just want to get that out there. Don't hesitate to send ideas to Rena or to Vicky. We just want to keep this commission vibrant, which I think has come a long way, quite frankly. One thing I do want to get across is I think we sometimes underestimate our contributions. When I talk to residents, including some who might have an interest, they don't really know what we do. And the only way I can tell them what we do is to provide examples. And with all due respect, they're not particularly interested in small things, even though I know they're important. They're interested in big things, like mixed use zoning, like the Long Hill Green Project, which gets raves. I want to make sure we're all armed with a couple of quick examples of how this commission gets involved in some pretty important work. And because some of you are new, I want to bring one up just for your reference that you may not know about it. It's an example of how the commission can take action and actually help get something done. Beryl will remember back 10 years ago, I don't know if Evelyn was part of the commission or not then, but we had a chairman by the name of Jim Abraham, a wonderful guy.
Yes.
And he asked me to take a look at how Trumbull was presenting itself to the business community. And I took a look at, with a couple of other subcommittee members, all of our materials, and quite frankly, they were all well-intentioned, but they were all over the map. We didn't really have a positioning, if you will. We didn't really know what we stood for as a face to the business community. And we did a study for free. It was volunteers. It's one of our duties, if you will. We did a thorough research of our business community, asked them all kinds of questions, summarized wants, needs, opportunities, threats. We also took a look at how other towns were positioned and took a look at how there were best practices of towns Trumbull size around the country. We came up with the positioning statement. We came up with the slogan, Trumbull working for you, and we came up with the graphic design. And that was approved by the first selectman and the council. So my point is there's probably a project that illustrates what we can do as a team. And most of you probably don't know that that all came out of the Economic Development Commission. So if anybody asks about something related to marketing, that's one example that I just wanted to make sure we were all aware of. There are others, but I think you're aware of most of them because there's a lot of stuff going on currently. Any questions on that? Okay, any other questions for anybody before we look for a motion to adjourn? Oh, I forgot my own notes. Next month, we meet on the 1st, I believe. And we have to elect officers for the 2021 year. That's chairman, secretary, and vice chairman. And give some thought to if you want to serve in one of those capacities, because quorum permitting, we will have elections. I think we have to do them in December. I think there was some thought with their extenuating purposes, we could probably push it into January, but I'd rather not because I'm not sure that's correct. So my request is that you give some thought to officers for next year. And if you're interested, throw your hat in the ring and we'll elect officers on the 1st and go from there. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
I think we also have to set our schedule.
Pardon me?
I said, I think we also have to set our schedule.
Yeah, that's right. Correct.
Because I think our
Rena?
schedule, Yep.
Could you let us know the 3 that are going go off in December?
Yes.
Ralph said there were 3 to,
Well, I'm assuming that because we are all served 3-year terms and they're staggered. So with 9 of us,
Be reappointed.
3 every December.
They can
Now-
be reappointed
I
by the
will-
first election.
I will check with Cindy Katsky. She oversees that about who the 3 are that are up.
Okay.
I'm sitting here today. I don't know who they are. I forget from year to year. And she keeps a file in the office on all of this.
I think we might have something that you probably gave us last year. And if so, I'm gonna look in my binder because I would have saved that.
I don't remember, I may have, but I don't remember giving anything out. I can't remember, but she keeps a more detailed accounting of it. That's part of her work to make sure the boards and commissions are all up to snuff. So I want to just double check with her because sometimes we're backfilling, like it might seem like we just, like that person just got appointed, but they might have, and that they have 3 years, but they really don't, because they might have come in filling out a spot of someone who had like 2 years left. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I have to make sure from her who the 3 are. So like
I know I was just brought back in.
reappointed. Okay, so you probably have 2 more years, but like Karen Del Vecchio came into Mark
Yeah, I know I filled some.
spot. So if like she might have to be, I actually think Karen might be could be one of the people who needs to be reappointed. I'm not sure. I have to talk to Cindy and I will. I'll have it for December.
We don't have to waste time waiting for the town council with this one. It's solely the first selectman. So
The
it's-
first selectman either reappoints or you serve on, you can serve. So there's not, just so you're aware, you can serve until your replacement comes, or if you're not being reappointed or something like that. So it's not like everybody that's at 3 years expiring is off
Right.
the commission in December. There's time there. So that's, we've always dealt with it reasonably well. But we will continue to deal with it, but I have to check with Cindy because I don't want to misspeak on anybody.
Yeah,
Sure.
mine actually, I just looked it up. Mine is till 2022.
Okay, so you have 2022, so it's not you. Okay, so it's not Evelyn, so we're doing process of elimination.
I
So
believe I'm 2021.
it could be Eric Michael. And to Ralph's point, he has been a contributor in the past, but his job is preventing him, I think, from getting here. So, we have to look at things like that,
Okay, well, just so everybody knows, filling out our 9-person roster is important. And electing officers and setting a schedule should be done, I think, at the next meeting. Anything else from anybody? Do we have a motion?
That I'm available.
Okay,
Okay.
we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Who is the second? I have Marshall, who seconded it.
I did. I tried to anyway.
Okay, Shelby.
All opposed? I don't know what we do if somebody wants to keep going. but- All right, so thank you all very much. I thought it was an excellent meeting, a lot going on, a lot of energy. And by bringing in some new members, I think that keeps this all going.
Okay, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, if I don't talk to you.